What drives you truly, not what the world tells you. It is not ambition, it is not lust, and it is definitely not even love, but something older, something buried beneath centuries of conditioning, a current of ancient instinct that still whispers through your blood. You feel it when you lock eyes with a woman and your chest tightens, when silence stretches between you and your mind goes still. It's not just desire, it's remembrance, the echo of an archetype you were born from but taught to forget. Every man carries within him a constellation of forces, the king, the warrior, the magician, the lover. But one always dominates when you meet her. It is the primal one, the shadowed one, the force that wants to possess not through control, but through presence. You don't chase it, you awaken it. It doesn't crave validation, it demands respect. Yet most men never touch this level of depth. They move through life disconnected, ruled by anxiety, begging for attention, performing rather than radiating. They confuse approval for affection and validation for love. And so they repel what they seek because their energy says, "I need you to complete me." The moment you need her, she withdraws. The moment you chase, she tests. Because what draws a woman is not pursuit. It's power contained, the still flame that cannot be shaken. You've seen it, the quiet man at a gathering who says little, yet somehow every woman's gaze drifts toward him. He's not handsome in a conventional sense, but there's something about him. His stillness feels dangerous, his eyes unhurried, his words deliberate. He doesn't reveal himself. He lets her imagination do the work. That's not an act. That's ancient energy resurfacing, the archetype of dominance through composure, the masculine principle that predates civilization itself. When you embody this stillness, you don't speak to her mind. You speak to her nervous system. Her body recognizes safety and power before her thoughts can form meaning. She becomes both curious and unsettled, drawn to understand what makes you so unaffected. And this is where the psychological mechanism begins. Female attraction is not to comfort, but to gravity, to presence, to a man who can stand unmoved by her storm. Her tests, her moods, her silences, they're not random. They're attempts to feel the boundary of your depth, to see if your strength is emotional theater or elemental truth. In that tension, your character is revealed. The average man collapses. He reacts, defends, explains. He wants to be understood. But the stoic man doesn't seek understanding. He commands recognition. He knows that attraction is not a negotiation. It's a mirror. She feels what you are, not what you say. There's a moment every man experiences, though few admit it, when he senses this shift. The moment she looks at him differently. Her tone softens, her eyes linger longer. Her words slow down. She's not just looking at him anymore. She's feeling through him. Something ancient in her has recognized something ancient in him. This is not romance. This is archetypal resonance. The feminine surrendering momentarily to the masculine that has remembered itself. But this power cannot be faked. You can mimic words, posture, and strategy, yet she will feel the falseness beneath it. Women are attuned to authenticity through instinct, not logic. Her attraction bypasses reason and goes straight to energy, to the coherence between your inner state and outer presence. You can't deceive that system, you can only refine it. The man she respects is the one who can sit in silence, hold his ground, and not flinch when confronted with chaos. Because chaos is the feminine's natural state, fluid, emotional, ever-changing. The masculine's role is not to control it, but to anchor it. This is where most men fail. They think anchoring means domination. But true masculine anchoring is containment without suppression. It's the strength to remain centered even as her emotions swirl. And when you do, she relaxes, not because you've won, but because she's found polarity. That's the essence of attraction. The meeting of two forces that remember their place in the natural order. Yet, here's the contradiction. To reach that level of composure, you must first face the part of you that isn't composed at all. The impulsive, reactive, needy fragments of your psyche, the parts buried beneath pride. You can't command energy you're still enslaved by. Jung called it integrating the shadow, confronting the beast within until it becomes your ally, not your master. Because only when you accept your darker impulses do they stop controlling you from below the surface. You don't transcend the primal urge by rejecting it. You evolve it by understanding it. Every man feels the pull to chase, to conquer, to prove. But beneath that drive lies the truth. It's not the woman you seek. It's the reflection of your own power that you've projected onto her. She awakens what you've forgotten, the ancient masculine essence asleep inside you. So when you feel that forbidden urge, that pulse of raw desire mixed with unease, realize it's not corruption, it's communication. The deeper self trying to speak through instinct. The question isn't how to suppress it, but how to read it. What does this urge reveal about what you've denied? Where does your hunger point you toward growth? And how much of your life has been spent running from the very thing that could make you whole? Because when you finally turn toward it, not with shame, but with awareness, the chaos in you aligns. You begin to walk differently, speak differently. Women sense it before you do, not because you've learned a trick, but because you've remembered an ancient rhythm. The man who masters himself doesn't chase energy, he becomes it. And the moment you do, the archetype awakens. When you begin to awaken that ancient current within, a strange calm takes root. You notice how easily other men fracture under pressure, how quickly they trade their integrity for approval, how they tremble beneath the gaze of a woman who simply refuses to validate them. But you start to breathe differently. You no longer crave her attention. You command her respect by how unmoved you are by it. This is where philosophy meets psychology, where Marcus Aurelius' stillness fuses with the silent cunning of Machiavelli. Both understood one truth. Power is perception stabilized by self-control. A man's energy is currency. Every reaction spends it. Every silence stores it. And in relationships, emotional composure is the rarest form of dominance. Women can feel the man who's mastered this, not through grand gestures or wealth, but through vibration. His presence has density. His attention feels earned, not given. He doesn't explain himself. He embodies himself. That's what creates the tension women crave, not manipulation, but contrast. The paradoxical pull of being both accessible and untouchable. You see, attraction is not the art of pleasing women. It's the discipline of embodying strength so profoundly that she can help but mirror it. The moment you understand this, her behavior stops confusing you. Her contradictions, the warmth followed by distance, the affection followed by silence, are not chaos. They are calibration. Her instincts are measuring your center, testing the architecture of your composure. And here's where most men collapse. They interpret her withdrawal as rejection, her emotional volatility as disrespect. But in truth, she's searching, not for dominance, but for depth, for the man whose presence won't crumble under the weight of emotion. Her subconscious seeks polarity, the magnetic field between her expression and your restraint. If you react, you dissolve polarity. If you observe, you amplify it. This is psychological alchemy, transforming emotional resistance into attraction. When you meet her intensity with calm, she feels two things simultaneously: safety and fascination. Safety, because you don't mirror her chaos. Fascination, because she can't predict your emotional landscape. This unpredictability, grounded, not erratic, is what ignites long-term curiosity. Machiavelli wrote that men are destroyed by the things they try to control, but the Stoic flips that truth. You master life by mastering yourself. When you stop trying to control her, your energy becomes ungovernable. She senses it. Every instinct in her body reads it as power, not aggression, sovereignty, because control over her is fragile, but control over self is eternal. Watch closely how women respond to that quiet sovereignty. Their tone changes, their laughter lingers, even their posture softens when you enter the room. They don't understand why, but you do. It's the invisible shift of polarity. The masculine has remembered its role as anchor, and the feminine naturally orbits around it. But understand this: the purpose of awakening the archetype is not seduction, it's alignment. Because the man who relies on tactics may win a woman's body, but the man who embodies principle captures her devotion. Real attraction doesn't come from performance. It comes from the authority of being unbothered, the discipline of remaining whole. In the modern world, this seems almost mythical. You're surrounded by noise, dopamine, distraction, digital validation. The average man scrolls for stimulation and calls it connection. But the stoic man, he reclaims the silence. He recognizes that his desire is sacred energy, not to be wasted on impulse, but refined through restraint. He learns to channel it into purpose, ambition, mastery. And paradoxically, this restraint is what intensifies his magnetism, because here lies the great contradiction of male desire. The less you chase it, the stronger it becomes. The moment you stop needing women to validate you, they begin to seek validation through you. Not because you play a game, but because your energy becomes rare. The world is full of men who shout, few who simply stand. And when you stand, truly stand, your entire demeanor changes. You walk slower, you speak with gravity. You no longer debate your worth because it's already self-evident. This is where psychological attraction turns into spiritual influence. Women aren't drawn to you merely as a man. They're drawn to the energy of completion that you radiate. You've become, in essence, the archetype itself. From a Jungian lens, this is the integration of shadow and spirit, the transformation of impulse into intent. The lover becomes the king. The urge that once sought conquest now seeks creation. The energy that once pursued validation now demands purpose. You begin to understand that every attraction, every temptation is a mirror, revealing where you have yet to master yourself, and the deeper you go, the more paradoxical it becomes. Because even as you grow indifferent to women's reactions, they grow more responsive to you. Your detachment isn't coldness, it's serenity. You've stopped performing, you've become elemental, like fire that doesn't need to burn to prove its heat. This is what every great stoic and strategist understood. Power isn't displayed, it's sensed. And once a woman senses it, words become unnecessary. You no longer convince her to respect you. Her body decides before her mind can argue. That's the unspoken dynamic of true masculine presence. It bypasses reason and strikes instinct. But there's a danger here. Once you taste that authority, the ego will whisper. It will tell you that you've transcended emotion, that you are above temptation. That is the beginning of decay. Because the moment you become arrogant about control, you've already lost it. True mastery is humility cloaked in strength. You don't display restraint, you are restraint. In that silence lies something sacred, the balance between your human hunger and your divine composure. The woman doesn't complete that balance, she reflects it. She's the mirror that reveals where you are fractured and where you are whole. And that's why her reactions matter, not as validation, but as feedback from nature itself. Because when you look at her and remain still, you're not suppressing emotion, you're translating it. You're learning to speak the language of polarity, where power doesn't shout, it resonates. Where attraction isn't earned, it's evoked. And when that realization settles, when you understand that every urge, every glance, every silence is part of a larger psychological symphony, you stop chasing the note. You become the rhythm. By now, you've begun to sense the shift. The surface has gone quiet, but beneath that stillness, something immense is moving. The noise of the world, the opinions, the expectations, the endless chase begins to fade into insignificance. What remains is awareness. You start to see yourself not as a man reacting to life, but as a force shaping it. And this is where the real transformation begins. Every instinct that once ruled you becomes a message. Every emotional pull becomes information. You start to understand the architecture of your own mind. The fragile boy seeking approval, the hungry man chasing validation, the silent warrior watching from within. Each part has always been there, but only now do you have the strength to bring them together. Integration, alignment, mastery. Women sense this unity before you even speak. They feel it in how you walk into a room, in the way your gaze doesn't seek but observes, in how your energy doesn't demand but declares. You no longer need to attract. You simply allow attraction to happen as a byproduct of coherence. Because at your core, you've become something rare, a man who governs himself. This is the essence of stoic masculinity. Not coldness, not emotional detachment, but sovereignty. The ability to hold tension without escaping it. The discipline to feel deeply without losing control. When you reach this level, every interaction with a woman becomes symbolic, a mirror reflecting your inner architecture. Her warmth confirms your calm, her resistance tests your strength, her silence reveals your truth. Understand this: the feminine does not admire your perfection, she trusts your consistency. She doesn't crave your dominance, she craves your direction. And that direction can only exist when your emotions serve you rather than command you. That's why composure isn't the absence of feeling. It's the highest form of control over it. Modern men are told to chase. Ancient men were taught to command presence. One path drains you, the other transforms you. Because when you chase, you externalize your power. You make her the source of your worth. But when you command presence, you internalize your strength. She becomes the mirror, not the master. And paradoxically, it's that surrender of control over her that grants you influence, not manipulation. Influence born from gravity. You've become the immovable center she orbits around. Your silence shapes her thoughts. Your restraint fuels her curiosity. Your steadiness invites her surrender. She doesn't understand why she feels drawn to you, because the attraction isn't logical, it's archetypal. The feminine seeks the masculine that remembers its place in the natural order. When you embody that, her perception of you changes permanently. You cease to be one of many. You become a psychological imprint. The way you make her feel, safe, uncertain, fascinated, stays in her nervous system long after you've left. That's the secret power of masculine restraint. It leaves residue. But there's another level, the one few men reach, where you stop even thinking about attraction altogether. Because you begin to see women not as validation, not even as reflection, but as reminders of your responsibility. Every urge becomes a test of discipline. Every moment of temptation becomes an opportunity to refine your awareness. You realize that true freedom isn't indulgence. It's the ability to choose restraint when everything in you wants release. Seneca wrote that no man is free who is a slave to his body. The same applies to desire. Freedom begins when the body obeys the mind, and the mind obeys principle. That's why the greatest power you can hold in the modern world is stillness, the ability to remain unmoved in a culture addicted to reaction, the quiet strength to lead without shouting, the patience to understand before you respond. This is what separates the man who merely attracts from the man who awakens respect. And when that respect takes root, it transforms everything. Women begin to look at you differently. Men start to measure themselves against you. Even silence bends around you, not because you seek reverence, but because you've become aligned with something timeless. You carry the gravity of restraint, and the world adjusts itself around that center. From the outside, it looks effortless, but beneath that simplicity is a lifetime of discipline, the daily practice of self-command, the refusal to chase what drains you, the courage to feel without fleeing, the wisdom to know that what you withhold holds more power than what you display. At this stage, desire no longer controls you, it informs you. Attraction no longer tempts you, it teaches you. Women no longer confuse you, they reveal you. You've crossed from instinct to sovereignty, from reacting to directing, from needing to being. The forbidden urge that once enslaved you now serves as your compass, pointing you back to your essence. It was never the enemy, only the unrefined messenger, and as this understanding deepens, you begin to live differently. You walk as though guided by something unseen, not arrogance but quiet command. You listen not to win, but to perceive. You desire, but you do not chase. You feel, but you do not fold, because you've remembered what most men forget, that the strongest man is not the one who conquers women, but the one who conquers himself. In that realization, something ancient awakens again. Not the primal hunger that once ruled you, but the sacred calm that now defines you. You've merged the archetypes, the king who governs, the warrior who endures, the magician who understands, and the lover who feels. Together, they form the man who no longer seeks validation from the world because he's already become the world's quiet standard. And when she looks at you, really looks, she feels it, not performance, not pursuit, presence, the living embodiment of what her instincts have always sought. A man whose silence speaks more than words, whose steadiness commands more than force, and whose calm burns hotter than desire. That is the hidden archetype revealed, not the urge to possess, but the mastery to hold back. Not the hunger to conquer her, but the strength to conquer yourself. Not the pursuit of women, but the becoming of a man who no longer needs to chase what naturally follows power. Because once you embody that, attraction is no longer something you seek, it's something you radiate. And that is when the archetype lives through you.